Oh, hello. I think we are live. Sorry. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar where we will show you how to embrace as code approach for network security management. My name is Paweł Imiełowski. I am DevOps Engineer here at CodiLime.
My name is Migara Ekanayake. I'm a solutions architect here at Palo Alto Networks.
So we prepared the webinar for you. Let's quickly go through agenda, what we have today. So we will go through the key point here, the DevOps shortfall, our business driver for the network's configuration as code, some stuff related to the ticket base versus the GitOps workflow, and the main, let's say, dishes for our webinar will be the demo, where we will try to show you actually how everything works, that we explain a little bit. We'll end with the key takeaways and Q&A session. So if you have any question, please leave it in the chat. We will answer it at the end of the webinar.
All right, so let's start looking at this principle, zoom out a little bit, right? And then think about this holistic view of an application lifecycle. So developers today deploy applications multiple times a day, if not hourly. And the developers have adopted these DevOps principles. They use latest and greatest tooling, from writing code to test them, to deploy them into their infrastructure and run them, and then also monitoring, right? So this has been working great for application teams, but this is just one piece of the puzzle. To bring an application live, you need to also work with other teams within your organization, such as your network operations teams, maybe security operations team.
Yeah.
So with the traditional DevOps approach, even though it was promised everything's going to be unicorns and rainbows, what we have seen is like a true disjointed approach between these application teams and the network and security operation teams. So essentially today what we're going to look into is how can we reduce this friction using config as code approach. So let's look at what we're going to do with config as code and how this can actually help drive your business better. Mm-hmm. So to start off, I wanted to talk about two things. The two principles that governs the application lifecycle, right? One thing is the complexity of an application. So when businesses deploy applications, and it's not like a done deal thing, software is always evolving. And then you sometimes need to involve re-architecting your application, introducing new architectures, releasing patches, creating features. This is always evolving. So there's a complexity element to it, right? And then also there's an element of risk to that, which means as these applications become business critical, there's a risk appetite a business would like to take. This could be like reduction of ability to do testing often because this is business critical, so you're more concerned about making changes and things like that. So this could actually hinder some of the creativity and the agility for the business. So when we layer up these two principles with three business drivers that we put in here, this is not necessarily in the order of precedence. This could be different based on your business. One thing is speed and agility, right? So we jokingly say these days organizations are technology companies doing something in their specialized area. The digitalization is key to success. You need to respond fast. You have to be nimble to respond to your competition and market trends. And then also, when you deploy your digital assets, your software essentially, you also need to keep in mind how you can keep the cost of ownership low. This is things like supporting this software, providing security, providing compliance, operation costs. So slightly dipping into the network operation task that we'll later on talk about, right? And then trust and reliable. We briefly touched up on that. your reputation of the organization directly sometimes affiliated with your presence and how available you are, how reliable your software is. So when we layer up these three things and the two principles that we talked about, the complexity and risk, it's really important to understand how we can streamline these operations and reduce this friction. So let's look at how we're going to do this. Before we actually dive into config as code approach, it's useful for us to zoom out a little bit here and then think about what are we doing today, right? Hopefully most of the audience is more familiar with this kind of workflow. Mm-hmm. This is what we've seen today in most of the organization. Let's imagine there's an application developer in your organization, want to scale out, right? So they just need a new server. First of all, they even need to figure out, do I even need a ticket, right? And once you figure that out, you probably raise a ticket and an infrastructure engineer would pick that up. This is essentially, it could be your platform teams or your traditional infrastructure engineers provisioning servers, whether it's cloud or on-prem. And after that, eventually it will flow onto a network operations engineer. This could be a task ranging from allocating IP addresses in your IPAM, then maybe configuring your load balancer and configuring your network switches. Few tasks can involve that. And finally, if you're lucky, it goes into the security SecOps team who would manage the firewalls. And then the compliance team also want to make sure, is this application should actually go to the internet? Is this comply to our business policies? Mm-hmm. So all these things end-to-end could take days, if not months in some other organization. Yes. So what we're really going to look at today, how to really streamline, right? So why don't you tell us what's the future of this workflow?
Yes, so actually looking at this as how it could look like utilizing the tools that already we have in a not like a step forward for what we already have and how it could look like in this, like we said, in a config as code manner. So we see that introducing the software development practices into the infrastructure configuration process is actually the thing that will help us to achieve the consistency, the
reliability.
Yeah, the reliability, and obviously it will help us to create like a source of truth. Actually, on your configuration, yes, which is why this is even matter, yeah, because right now, as you mentioned, the current approach is like we need to add something, but we often don't know even who do it because we have the shared account. We don't know how it was done. Like in example, it could be taken manual. It could be doing through some scripts that are lying somewhere. So we are lacking of some information right now into the configuration piece. So this is the one thing. The other stuff is managing configuration resources in your source code repository. This is what I mentioned, yes. So having your source code repository where you have everything in one place, yes, you can see it, you can actually reuse it, yes, you have control of it, yes. It gives you this piece with have everything in one place, yes, and also the simplicity and the streamlining, actually the change management. When you like combine the tools, you can actually create multiple, let's say, layer of stuff. So when we will be talking about this a little bit further, but shifting this configuration to the, let's say, left side, yes, we can like hide usual, like hide some of the configuration that is not like needed for like common task. And in example here, we can see there is some piece of the config block, yes? So, but I think probably everyone can figure it out what this config will give us. Yes, so we have some source address, some destination address. So it is very simple and for human to read actually what the configuration looks like. And this is very important because we want to create the tools that people are actually willing to use. If there will be too complex or not fit in our environment and so on, people will not using. So you can create something that people will not willing to learn or use. So this is a very important step here to actually have in our mind. Yes. So about I mentioned about the GitOps approach. Maybe you can, Migara, explain to our guests what is going on with the GitOps. What is important with the configuration as code?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a good time to zoom into this whole workflow a little bit, right? We talked about GitOps. What is this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully some of you are familiar with GitOps, but essentially this is a code-driven workflow. In this one, we closely align this diagram to our demo. So essentially on the left-hand side, a network engineer making changes using code. And essentially this code end up in a version control system like Git. So can you tell us a little bit about the benefits of using a VCS?
Yes. Thanks. This is a very good question. Actually, like I mentioned, the code management, why this is important? Because practically this is the core foundation of having the VCS. Yes, everything we put into the code management system, let's say Git repository, yes, will actually always be committed and give us committed and recorded and give us this comprehensive audit trail that we can go through and see who was responsible for which changes and why these changes was even applied to our configuration. This is very important because we often see that if we go, in example, in some device and see in configuration, we can see a lot of duplication, or we can even see the part of the configuration that we even don't know why it even here. So it's very good to actually have this track that gives you the one thing, it's the code management. Second one, the auditability. And the third thing that is very worth to mention here is repeatable. Why? Let's take some scenario that something broke in your environment, because often we don't think, okay, something broke, we have backup and so on. But we often don't think about the bad stuff. Only we try to have the good stuff in our mind. But if something bad happened, and in example you have environment and everything is doing in some manual way, maybe some manual way, some automate scripts and so on, and something gone broke and your environment need to be recreated. We see very often that it took times, sometimes days, sometimes even more weeks, and you need to be aware that through that time, your key piece of the environment is not working. Yeah. You can't do tests. You can't. Sometimes production is not even working. Yes. So the whole, let's say, part of the business cannot work. Yeah. It's very crucial to have the stuff, the configuration in your environment, because you can simply redeploy it to the new environment. Yes.
Yeah, so it's quite powerful, right? So there are key elements that you consolidate onto VCS, yes. Right? You mentioned about code management. As previously, this would have been on your CMDB or your ticketing system, and auditability, it's done somewhere else. And then the repeatability, it's really relying on your manual backups and stuff. So it's super powerful, right? Yes. So moving on, how does this help with automation, the testing and stuff like that?
Yes. So about the testing, why the testing is important in your let's say GitOps approach, because in example, when you can actually, when the code are executed, in your CI/CD pipeline, you can test if it, in example, match your quality criteria, if the code is okay, if the changes that you are trying to apply are fitting your in example, here is quality, but also the compliance.
Yes.
What is going on? Because let's say you have bad situation, you have maybe some bad actor then trying to deploy some changes that will open your network to bright open, left it bright open. But having the test related to the compliance stuff, we prevent them. Because we will catch something wrong with that. We don't allow too broad access. So we can in the pipeline we can actually see, okay, this is not something we can allow to do. Also, the last test here that we present is end-to-end test, and they are very important also because we can actually test the configuration on some very similar environment, similar in example to our production, and deploy the changes and see how it will behave through different scenarios. This is something, sometimes there's a common running joke, we will test in production. And we see the outcome of it. So we can do actual this test, but in some control manner, environment. So crème de la crème on our webinar. We prepared the demo session here for you guys, trying to actually apply the all stuff that we talk into some common scenario that we think could fit your business, your environment, the stuff that you can do. So let's say that we have some application and we have developer team. And in these developer teams, we have that application that we want to deploy to our environment. And in that environment, we don't have access to this application, the access from the internet to the application. We don't actually have it. And we want to add this access to application to actually go there and see if it works and if it integrates with our services and so on. So we will try to add it. Let's hope, let's pray for the demo god that everything goes smoothly. So about the demo itself, we will utilize the AWS cloud, and for each part of our config as code, we will use the GitLab instance as a single source of truth on our Git repository. This also GitLab will be used for our CI/CD pipelines, and we will utilize the Terraform as a config as code tool that will actually apply the config that will provide to our environment. And on the right side we have our Palo Alto Network stack, which is the firewall management system Panorama, and the next-gen firewall VM series, which will apply the changes to it and will handle our traffic.
And here, when we talk about the pipeline, this is essentially a set of steps that you have to do, validation or processing. So this could be as simple or as complicated as you like.
Exactly. It could be as mentioned. It could be as simple as just deploy, run this script, or it could be complicated, as you mentioned, We will talk about it, I think, just in the moment,
Yep.
a little bit more after we take a few steps, so you guys will be more familiar with the concept. So let's go to this application, and I will be the DevOps persona in the application team, and Migara will be our network operational engineer. You will see in a moment why we're splitting these roles. So as you can see, I will try to see if this application works. You can trust me, this application is deployed,
Yeah.
and it's work, but we don't have traffic.
Yeah.
So let's go to the panorama. As I mentioned, this is a firewall management system. So here I'll enlarge a little bit. So here should be like policies, the security policies that will do something on our firewall. In example, allow access to our application.
Yep.
Like you see, there's nothing right now. So to change it, let's quickly go to our GitLab instance, to our code, and let's change it.
So this is essentially where your network operator or the developer would interact.
Yes, yes. Basically, yes. The developer or DevOps or network operator, if it must. But since we are shifting left, we can assume that this part is on the application repository level.
Right.
Yes. So let's go here and change it a little bit. So as you can see, we have like 32-line code just related to the creating some necessary object that needs to be on a panorama, and stuff related to the security rules are empty. And I will quickly change it. I'll just prepare the one a little bit earlier to be just a little bit faster. But as you can see, it was like a couple of lines of code. We can clearly see what is going on, even on the code level. Yes. So it is easy for human to operate and see what is going on here. Yes. What am I adding? It is, I think, simple for everyone that will be operating in similar approaches by doing the config as code.
So here the syntax, we kept it very close to the Palo Alto Networks language.
Yes.
But if we want to abstract away the complexity a bit more, we can even trim it down, right? So just select the essential bits from a developer.
Yes, yes. So it could be even as simple as possible that developer could practically do anything. Yes, we can utilize, as Migara, you previously mentioned, the pipeline, the CI/CD pipeline can be very advanced, can do a lot of automation, collect metadata from the repository, and mock some data in the fly, glue some stuff, doing API calls to cloud. So it could be very, very complicated and do a lot of stuff that could simplify this work. Yes. But as let's say, if we want to just start, even starting from scratch, it can be very simple because this we can write it very simple for people to actually use it. It can't be. It doesn't need to be that advanced from the start. Yes. Yeah. Let's stay with low-hanging fruits rather than doing some more advanced.
Essentially, you are tweaking the input based on the persona you're dealing with.
Yes, exactly. So we have our changes, and let's add it. But let's firstly create the new branch. We will be following the GitOps approach and trying to utilize the Git best practices at all as much as we can. Why we are doing it? Because we can treat the main branch, yes, as a source of truth. Yes, it will handle all our configuration and the new branches will be addition to our current version, yes?
So essentially, you're making a change against your source of truth, which is your default branch.
Yes,
And then
yes,
that's
exactly.
main, and then this is your proposed change on a
Yes.
new branch.
Obviously, in your environment, you can see slightly different naming in example. There are multiple conventions and people are following off. We just doing the basically default one that
Yep.
GitLab give us. Yeah?
Yep.
But it could be a different one. It could be master, release. It depends
Yep.
on how your organization actually working right
Yeah,
now. Yes?
absolutely.
So let's go and create new branch, add new application traffic. Okay, we create a new branch. The changes are applied to that branch. Let's go back to our GitLab instance and let's create merge request. Okay, so what is going on with that merge request?
So essentially, you're proposing some changes that you want to implement, right,
Yes.
against what you already have on the device. So this really gives an opportunity for the requester to give enough information why you're making this change, right? Like which you're going to do shortly, I guess, with the description, explain the situation, and then really give the context for that change.
Yes, yes, and also it's left us the audit trail that someone can go and see, okay, why this change was even happen, yes? So let's quickly add the description for the changes that we will be doing. So we are adding traffic to the new application. And since I am doing it, I will be assigning to it, but our network operator will be the Migara, and Migara will check if the changes that we will be doing is okay related to just compared to our current version and current environment. Okay.
Again, here you can create a very flexible workflow, right?
Yes,
if you have a
yes.
team of reviewers, instead of assigning an individual, you can assign that team and notify that team. So one of them can review. Again, based on the policy, maybe you might opt to have 2 reviewers, right? Based on your business needs, based on your compliance requirements. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. So let's create this merge request. And you can see, we have changes already here, and it will be waiting for Migara to check. So I will view Migara the changes that we will be applying. If Migara said it is okay for him, I just approve it as a Migara. I'm sorry, we'll be shorting it today. But in the real world scenario, obviously, it will add the people here, and it will be doing the review because we have simple tool to add the changes, but it needs to fit our compliance, our guardrails. So we can add as many configurations as we want, but obviously it needs to be firstly checked if everything is okay. Yes. So let's quickly approve it, and let's merge this to our main branch.
Also, this gives you a very flexible workflow to review the configuration, right?
Yes.
When the previous way of working, you point-click, do ClickOps to implement something.
Yes.
Unless you document everything, it's really difficult to understand what actually changed.
Yes, yes.
So here
exactly.
it's a much easier diff.
Yes.
You're really treating your configuration as code.
Yes.
You're verifying and validating the same way as you would have done for software code.
Yes, yes. Like you said, it was very, very fast, very, and there was actually the diff. Yeah. So you can quickly see as a even operator. Yes.
Yeah.
You can see what is the change to my environment,
Yeah.
and if I'm okay with it. Yeah.
And you can even be very specific about certain lines, right? Like
Yes.
if in that diff you see, okay, you're trying to allow any zones to any, then as a network administrator or the compliance engineer, you can literally put a comment pointing at that line, comment, hey, why are you doing this? And you can really scrutinize particular pieces in that configuration as well, which is extremely powerful.
Yeah, yeah. And someone can explain, okay, I need to do it because.
Yeah.
Yes. So also you obviously need to, you can go back and see what is going on, why those changes are applying that way. So as you see, we already run the pipeline, our CI/CD pipeline, and in this pipeline we have a couple of jobs that will do some particular task, let's say like that. And the first one, we utilizing the Terraform option to validate changes to see if the let's say static code is okay. Yes, there's no issue with that. If everything works as Terraform want it to be. So our tool want it to be exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So these are not essentially must-dos, but these are like best practices, putting guardrails. So we are essentially catching issues early in the pipeline.
Yes. Exactly. Like you say, we want to apply, and we can apply the that many steps that we are feeling comfortable with. Yes.
Yep.
So obviously the next step is a Terraform plan, and we will see in the Terraform plan we'll see the changes that we want to apply in our environment, and if they are okay. Also with our environment, we can see the stuff that we want to apply are fine. We agree on that, and also it's worth to mention in our case we have everything automated. Yes, but in that step that could be a manual approach. In example, the network operator can go and see like another layer of feeling secure with the tools. Yes, can go and see, okay, I am okay with the changes that are going to my environment, or maybe there's some misconfiguration that will destroy my environment. I can allow it. Yeah, I can stop it.
Yeah, as you mature in this journey and your risk appetite, you can really decide: do I need true continuous deployment?
Yes.
If you're comfortable with it, you probably would do those things in an automated fashion. If it's a risk-averse environment, like we mentioned earlier, you might want to do manual gate it.
Yes.
So you do semi-automation, but still you're winning. And then as a network operator, you can approve or deny those changes.
Yes, like you mentioned. Let's quickly go to the next step. The next step after the plan is actually applying the changes that we see that was in a previous plan. So here we applying that to our because we are facing the Palo Alto Network devices, we'll be applying that to the configuration. To the running config, running configuration. We'll be talking about it just a second on the next task, which is commit. And what is going on with that commit?
So particularly to this demo, we are using Panorama, which is the management platform for all the Panos running devices like our next-gen firewalls. So essentially, there's a concept called running configuration and candidate configuration, right? So if you think about ClickOps, you make some changes, whether that's through ClickOps or through API, it essentially end up in a candidate configuration. You can think of this like a temporary configuration, it's staging of the config. And once you verify this configuration through the UI or other programmatic way, you essentially need to make this configuration live. So we call it putting into running configuration by performing an operation called commit. So that's essentially what we have automated here, just to show the true capabilities.
Yeah, just like you mentioned. So we have that commit like also as another, I think, layer of the security, because when we committing from the running configuration to the from the candidate configuration to the running configuration, the Panos underlying will check if everything is okay. The stuff that we are willing to apply are okay, and will work with the stuff that already running on the configuration.
Yeah, this could be something like dependencies and things like that you haven't accounted for, but again, before it becomes true live configuration, it just gives you the extra validation step.
Exactly. And our last step is actually to push the configuration. It will push the configuration that we will commit to Panorama management system to the device, to the correct device. Yes. and apply obviously the configuration to that device. So as you can see, there was just a couple of line of code that we apply that was creating this security policy, but in example, the whole configuration, like day 0 or day 1 configuration, which means let's call it the full configuration of the device, like from no configuration to fully functional one, yes? And day 1, we can call it like hardening.
Yeah. So this is essentially like a living thing, right? Like we talked about, software is never a never-ending thing. You have to keep making changes. So does network configuration, right? It has to, and security configuration needs to keep evolving. So essentially, it become a life cycle of software development for the software code, and is essentially would live and grow same way on this code base for the network configuration as well. But if you can show us like where these things resides, so essentially what you can see here, right? Different aspects of the configuration, I guess?
Yes, different aspects and multiple, actually, the resources that we'll be creating. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff, that network operation are also need to do.
Yeah.
And we don't see that stuff that this device have, like someone goes and do the ClickOps, In here, we have everything in the code.
Yes. And obviously, we put everything in a gigantic file here, but we don't have to necessarily make it a big file. You can even break it down to small components where it makes sense to your team, right?
Yes.
And then even give ability to change each file for different teams, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. And we also split it like we have the security policy will be shifting left, to the developers, but the rest of the configuration could be hidden and be maintained by the network operations teams, yes? So when we apply the changes, let's see if they are on our environment. We see that we add the new security policy here, and our application, I think it should be lived right now. It is, there is it. Thanks, Demo God, for helping us with that. Migara, can you just give us the summary best practices and the resources about what we used here?
Absolutely. Wrapping up the demo, right? Hopefully, we convinced you that this is a good way of working, and hopefully you wanted to try this out. So just wanted to give some best practices that we gathered doing work for customers and from the field. The first thing I would say is divide and conquer, right? This is not a big bang. You roll out config as code tomorrow morning for your entire environment. This is about finding your risk appetite. Where does it make more sense to apply these config as code workflows? So break your problem into small pieces so it's easier to address. And then also this reduce the blast radius. If something goes wrong, you wanted to start this with like lowest risk applications so you can easily recover from those problems. And then also start doing reviews and things like that early in the process. So have that best practices involved, get those teams involved. Single source of truth. Here, what I wanted to mention is once you start automating certain piece or certain aspect of your configuration, you have to stop with the ClickOps, right? So what I mean by that is you don't want to change the same thing through the code and also using ClickOps, because then you end up with two different states. You really don't know what's the source of truth. So you really can end up in a sticky situation if you do that. And training and enablement, cannot stress enough how important this is, because especially if network engineers and security engineers get involved in these kind of workflows, it's really important to understand how Git works and then how these workflows benefit their day-to-day life. So cross-collaboration is important with developer teams, right? And then also have enough training and enablement to enable those engineers and make them feel comfortable. The last thing is creating modular software code. So what I mean by that is in this demo, we use some Terraform modules to perform these tasks. So you want to ideally end up being the publisher of these modules as your as the builder. And then essentially the development team or application team want to end up being the consumers of these modules, right? So to that aspect, we also publish next-gen firewall modules in Terraform registry last week. So this is live right now. So you can grab these modules if you want to kickstart your journey. Also, there's some links posted on this YouTube event link. So if you wanted to grab them later on, it's there. So to wrap up, Paweł, why don't you talk us through how do we reduce complexity here?
Yes, so as you see, the changes, for the in example, the common task are very simple when the automation is applied. The configuration as code also is applied to your environment, and it can be like we speak. It can be even simpler. Yes, it can be even to the point that the developer doesn't need to actually do anything and applying and creating the configuration file. So it gives us something very good to speed up our process and actually lower the risk to have situation that something goes wrong, yeah, by really a factor. We see that very often that that misconfiguration happen, and is I think number one thing that could break your current environment. Having the configuration as code, testing it, treating as a code, and utilizing it day by day, it's simplify your day, your development cycle, and your business. Yes,
absolutely. And just to tie back into the business drivers we talked very early on, right? The agility, the importance of agility for a business. This is a modern way of managing security or network configuration and simplified compliance. What I mean by that is your application developers know the best connectivity for their applications, right? We talked about introducing new architectures. This could be moving from a monolith to a microservices architecture, so your connectivity become more complex. So that needs to be reflected on your network configuration. So who's best positioned there is really the application developer. By giving this type of workflow, you're essentially shifting the responsibility where that should belong to the developer, so they can easily request them using a familiar language. And then you can use your existing network and security team as consultants to essentially consult on what are the best practices when it comes to network security. So you can essentially enforce those things as code, right? If you essentially you're codifying your business compliance requirements as code. So when we talked about that pipeline at different stages, we are essentially enforcing what the developer introduce is also compliant with the business, right? So essentially, if they put any rule, I'm giving you an obvious example here. It should say you're violating the policy, therefore go and fix it. So that's one aspect. The last thing is the technology agnostic workflow. We talked about reducing the total cost of ownership. So this is all about. The suggestion is don't go and buy the next shiny technical toy. Just reduce the complexity of your configuration. This is all about tying the existing tooling you have in your environment. So you're most likely to have a version control system today, Terraform or Ansible as a orchestration platform. And then all the other tooling like CI tooling, like GitLab and things like that. So it's all about putting something together, creating that streamline approach that works for your business and your organization. So that's really important.
Yes. Okay, we came to the end to our question and answer session. If you have any question, please leave it on the chat. We will read it and we'll answer it. Okay, I think we have one. in the demo you have used Terraform. Can you use other technologies like SaltStack or Ansible instead? Yes, like Migara mentioned, it's actually you can use the tools that you already have in your environment. We see the more often that companies are utilizing infrastructure as code approach. So from utilizing infrastructure as code approaches, you practically have everything in your environment to actually create the config as code to your, in example, the network devices to utilize it. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, you practically have everything to start working on with. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, if your team is more comfortable with Ansible,
Yes.
dabbling your toes in there, and I think there's no reason why you should go and find another tool to complicate things.
Okay, we have another question. In Palo Alto Networks firewalls, it's required to do commits on Panorama. Can we automate it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we did in the demo, right? We talked about manual gating the approach as well. Absolutely. You can automate that process. It's not a problem at all.
Yes. We have another question. Sorry, John, late. No worries. But will this be shared on your channel once completed? Yes, it will be shared in our channel once it will be completed. So don't worry, everything will be there to rewatch. The next question is, thanks, a great presentation, thank you. What I struggle with after attending such session, how can I learn and do it on my own, then eventually in my environment? So
it's all about, like I said, divide and conquer, right? Don't think about you have this huge network. Always break down your problem into smaller tasks, right? Start small. If you're concerned about putting this to production, try to replicate this in a dev environment and then start playing with it, right? So a good place to start is like the Terraform modules that we put links out to. So that should be a good starting point. And it's really getting comfortable with this workflow. Like you don't even have to have like a pipeline and things like that. Maybe start very small. You have a version control system or Git repo in your local laptop, right? And then point to your network device and then start play with it and then eventually promote that to a pipeline and then build on top of that.
Yes. So summarizing your question, the resources we are using are basically the resources that we put the link on, so you can go there and take what it is and actually just apply on your environment. Yes.
Absolutely.
Do we have any question? More?
We have another question about asking public clouds or whether this can be done on the on-prem firewalls as well, right? So essentially, in the demo, it was in an AWS environment, but it essentially can be done on an on-prem environment as well. So this is not limited just for the public cloud or private cloud. Absolutely possible to do on on-prem firewalls as well.
Yes. Okay. I think if we don't have any question, thank you for being with us, and we hope that today we provide value insight into leveraging the network configuration as code, and we have a question actually for you to participate in the short survey following this webinar. The link will be in the description, and your feedback is actually crucial for us. And also, if you have any question, please contact us through the contact form that the link you will find also in the description.
Absolutely.
So one more time, thank you everyone for joining us, and we look forward to see you.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.